This video talks about energy efficiency and some important general concepts that apply and what we really mean by energy efficiency, especially in the context of our homes. We'll begin with a discussion about energy conversion, use, and waste. We'll also talk about the backward chain effect and how energy efficiency at home can translate to bigger efficiencies back at the power plant, and also review the path to energy independence and put energy efficiency in the context of an overall series of actions that we should be taking in our homes. So let's begin with a discussion about energy conversion, use, and waste. There are several different transactions that happen when we use energy, but it starts with some sort of energy input, for example, electricity. In every case that we use electricity, there's some sort of converter. In other words, it takes energy and converts it into something that we use. So a light bulb is an example of an energy converter because it takes electricity from the electrical grid and translates it into light. And in each of these conversions, there's always some useful energy, for example, in this case, radiation or the light that we want, but there's often some undesired energy or waste, in this case, heat. Light bulbs give off light, but they also give off a substantial amount of heat. So in each of these energy transactions, our goal will be to maximize the usable energy and minimize any amount of waste. Another important concept to introduce and to keep in mind when we talk about home energy efficiency is the backward chain effect. And what we need to do is consider the entire supply chain of energy. So let's take coal production, for example. We begin by mining the coal out of the ground, but then we have to transport that to a power plant. And both of those things require energy, and they have their own respective levels of efficiency. Transporting that energy to a power plant, for example, would include the efficiency of a truck, which uses gas, translates that gas into the movement of coal at a level of efficiency. Power plants are fairly efficient in themselves, but they do have their own levels of efficiency that are variable. Then we take that power and transmit it over power lines. That process has some efficiency losses associated with it. And finally, we use it in our house. And the way we use it also has variable levels of efficiency. So let's take a look at what this backward chain effect actually translates to and do some math. We talked about the extraction of coal being the first step, and that's a fairly efficient process. We're pretty good at that. Transporting it is also a fairly efficient process, but electrical generation itself has some efficiency losses, as does the transmission of electricity and ultimately the way we use it. You can see here an incandescent light bulb has an efficiency level of about 5%, whereas a fluorescent light bulb has an efficiency level about 20%. The thing we need to keep in mind is that these steps and their respective efficiency levels add up. So we need to actually calculate the cumulative or overall efficiency as we go down the chain. So this 96% starting out is then our starting point for our transportation. This translates into a starting point of 33% for generation, 31%, and so on down the line. And as we get down to a incandescent light bulb, we have an overall cumulative efficiency level of only 1.5%. And for a fluorescent bulb, which is a lot more efficient, is still only overall 6.2% if you include all the energy used to produce that light, including the steps back at the mine where we got the coal in the first place. So if you do this calculation backwards, you can see that any small amount of electricity saved at the home translates back into larger levels of savings back at the power plant. So a very important concept to keep in mind when people say, well, what difference does it make if I change a light bulb or if I turn out the lights? Well, actually, back at the power plant, the savings at a house can mean a lot. Earlier, we introduced the concept of a path to energy independence, and we want to review this and talk about where energy efficiency fits in that overall path. We said that it was important to begin with awareness and understand what are the opportunities that we have to save energy and improve the performance of our homes. Next, we said that it was important to talk about safety and health first, and before we take measures to improve the efficiency of our home, we need to keep in mind that our first priority is that we're safe and healthy. We also mentioned that before we take measures to invest in efficiency improvements, we should just stop wasting energy, and simple actions that don't cost anything could be the first steps we take to improve our overall energy efficiency and reduce energy use and save some money. Then energy efficiency improvements kick in, where we can upgrade our home performance by adding insulation, sealing up our leaky doors and windows, and making other investments to improve our home's performance. Once we have an efficient home, we can take a look at other measures like programmable thermostats and dimming switches that are a little more expensive but can help fine-tune how we use energy and reduce our overall energy use. And finally, once we've done all these things and reduced our energy to a small amount, we can take a look at ways to turn our energy demand to more renewable sources. And that might be investing in solar energy production system at your own house, or just simply choosing to produce and purchase electricity from a utility that gets its energy from renewable sources like wind farms. And this step-by-step path from energy awareness to energy independence is a key context that we're going to keep in mind and help understand where a particular homeowner and home falls in this path and how we can help them move down this path. So let's review this module, which overall took the time to talk about some important terms and concepts around energy. We began by defining some key terms that was used throughout the class. We spent some time talking about the house as a system and introducing some general concepts of energy efficiency and how important it is to our overall pursuit of energy independence.